It's a little late now.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us today on the Lighthouse Podcast. Thank you so much for joining me. Also, Jackie, hi.
Hi.
So she's a little nervous, if you can't tell. Okay, this is not something that she's used to. She's not exactly one of those individuals that puts herself out there very much. So I am extremely, extremely happy to have you. I'm going to move this over so that people can hear you just a little bit better. I know that that's probably the last thing that you want, but it's kind of what we
I just
need.
need to hear you.
No, let me slide your butt over here. So Jacqueline and I actually went to basic training together in Fort Jackson, South Carolina, and that was in 2006. We went to separate AITs. I'm going to move this back over to me for just a moment. We went to separate AITs because I became a fueler by trade and she became a combat medic, which was much braver than what I did.
They told me I was going to be a healthcare specialist,
What?
but then I was a combat medic.
So
I could have swore it was different, but it was the same.
So after AIT, turns out we ended up getting stationed together in Fort Stewart, and we didn't even know it.
No, I don't think we knew it until we were deployed.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, so after I deployed to Iraq, this is from 07 to 09, I get like over halfway through the deployment, and I'm walking down the little main street of Fob Kalsu. And I look over, and I see someone who I'm almost 100% sure I know who they are,
You've got such a good memory.
but I wasn't 100% sure if I knew who it was. I remember things from back then. I don't remember anything from yesterday. I didn't know if I wasn't sure exactly who it was. And then I'm like, hold on. So I start walking towards her, and I know I had to look crazy because you just got this random Joe like squinting and like, is this who I think it is? And she's looking at me, looking at her, and like she's actively, visually, disturbed by this. I get up to her. I said, Jackie? And then she goes,
Probably
and then
didn't
she
say
looks a
Jackie,
little
but
bit closer.
Jackie.
She's like, Addis? I was like, Jackie. She's like, Jerry. So Jerry, by the way, being my government name, okay. And like we had like a nice 30-second long hug, and like it was just phenomenal. My life in Iraq at that point had not been the greatest, and she can attest to that. And so being able to find somebody who like I really really had a lot of respect for, I admired, and I genuinely loved like a sister was huge for me. Say all that to say this. In that time frame, like I said, I was not having the best of times, and I think the biggest thing that I can honestly say is that you were not my medic, but you did save my life. Because like I said, I was going through a lot, and I didn't have anybody to talk to until that day. And it changed everything.
Then you gained a family.
Yeah.
All the years. Guys.
I joined an amazing family.
You're gonna have to pull up some of those old videos.
I'm going to eventually,
Oh
but
my gosh.
and we'll get there. We'll get there someday. But no, I think that in and of itself, that was, one of the most defining moments of my entire life was the day that I saw you walking through Kalsu. And I don't say that lightly. Mentally, as far as my mental health was concerned, I was in one of the worst places that anyone could be. And it all changed that day. But that's enough about me. What I want to ask is, who is Jackie? Where were you before you joined the military? And what made you to decide to actually make that move and join the military and become a combat medic? Arguably, and I feel it's sinfully underrated job. what made you decide to make those power moves in your life?
You want the true story?
Yeah.
So, I was married to a Marine
Mm-hmm.
and had 2 kids with him, and I was doing part-time jobs at gyms. And when I decided to join the military was when he was getting out of the Marines, because I knew I enjoyed the life. I enjoyed the stability for my children, and I also somehow knew that he wasn't going to quite make it with us, if you know what I mean. So I decided to join because of my kids, and I needed to take care of my children. So, but when I got to MEPS, that's when they basically gave me 2 choices to either be a healthcare specialist. They make it sound so nice.
Yeah.
Healthcare specialist or a journalist. And I wasn't, as you can tell, I'm not much of the journalist.
I actually wanted to do journalism, but it was a higher sign-on bonus for fuel. So
Yeah, I did I only got, well, I'm glad I did what I did because I got a $14,000 sign-on bonus for education.
oh wow.
So I actually wasn't able to use my sign-on bonus until after I got out. But when I went to college full-time, I got an extra, I can't want to say it was like $1,800 a month
Wow.
just to go to school for that sign-on bonus. So it was definitely well worth it. But I decided healthcare specialist because it sounded a lot nicer, and I figured I would be better in that field than in journalism. I enjoy writing, but I'm not the one to sit down and write. I'm the one to sit down and make something instead. But funny story though, when I got off that bus at AIT and they were smoking us, I'm trying not to cuss. They were smoking the dog pee out of us. Okay, so we had too many people apparently that came in on our little shipment, so they had to recycle some into the next company. So the way that they decided how they were going to do that was to see who fell out.
Okay.
So for the first 3 hours that I'm there, I'm just getting smoked, and they're calling us combat medics, and I'm sitting here thinking in the back of my head, I'm in the wrong place. I'm not supposed to be here. I'm supposed to be a healthcare specialist, not a combat medic. So, um, yeah, I became a combat medic that day for sure, because there was no turning back at that point. It was an experience for sure.
How how difficult was that position to kind of out for like the last few months? That's what we're doing here. I am actually in Jacksonville. I have my last appointment today with those guys, and I've been staying with my sister. I can't really call her my friend at this point anymore. She is my sister.
We've known each other 20 years.
Yeah, 20.
Almost 20.
Oh my.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's 2006.
Okay, so I've been staying with my sister, Jackie, here, and she has been way more than accommodating. And I know that it's been a pain in the butt because they've also been in the process of moving their house while also accommodating us and letting us stay in their house. So, like, I can't even express how much that alone means to us. Jinx is here with us, and we've had a lot going on. Originally, when I came down to Jacksonville this week, I was thinking that we were going to have 3 appointments over the course of 2 days, and we were going to just be here for the week, just to be able to visit. That didn't happen. It ended up being 30 appointments over the course of 4 days. So yeah. Anyway, that's enough rambling. So when you found yourself in that situation, okay, I know that had to be kind of stressful. I mean, I can't imagine that it was anything but stressful. And I don't even know this information, by the way. This is my first time ever asking her any of this. What was that AIT like for you? And when do you think that actual period was that you really kind of bit in and owned that position and said, all right, let's go?
I didn't feel like I belonged. I didn't feel like I was smart enough. I didn't feel like I could make it. Then they told us we were going to go through EMT school. For the first half of our AIT, it was 16 weeks long. So the first 8 weeks is EMT school, and then the other 8 weeks they called the whiskey side, which is where you get to go and do all the fun stuff.
Right.
So for the first 8 weeks, I'm actually still friends today with my instructor. Sorry, my hands. Yes, still friends with him today. He was the greatest. He just inspired me a lot because I went to him with my struggles, and it was a lot of mental struggles I was having. And he just kind of sat me down and said, if I didn't think you should be here, I would let you know. You know, I think you're in the right spot. And him just telling me and giving me that reassurance that I was in the right spot just flipped a switch. And I was in it. I was in it to win it. And I did good, and I excelled. Whiskey side was fun. That was interesting, having to low crawl into situations, trying to find the bleeding and trying to stop the bleeding. And like, they do all the flashing lights and all the loud noises and all that stuff around you. So people yelling at you in your ear. It was a lot of stressors to get over, but at the same time, they're just getting you ready for the stressors of being on the battlefield.
Right.
So, because no, I don't think anything could really compare to actually being out there in it.
Yeah.
But it definitely helped me to get ready for it.
So then after that, after the basic training, and you're like, okay, so we got this thing down, right? You get stationed at Stewart, and you're now in your first duty station, and everything changes, because I remember when I first got to Stewart, like everything was completely different.
Changes.
Everything changes.
Yes.
So tell me about that change and how you adapted to that, and like what kind of mental stressors you may have had in AIT, and then transitioning over into your first duty station. Like, tell me what those stressors were and kind of like how you kind of dealt with them.
Well, I was really glad that AIT helped to get me in really good shape. Because I will tell you, my first ever PT session, oh gosh, his name escapes me right now, but my memory, of course, but I can't think of his name. Anyhow, my first PT session with our new company, I was scared to death. Scared to death. Sergeant First Class Bennett. Boy, he put me, we all started lining. We did our warm-up exercises and everything, and we all start lining up to go somewhere, and he kind of puts us in two lines, and I'm just kind of like, what's going on here? He puts me in the front. Remember all those trail roads that were just like sandy beaches?
Yeah, the
basically.
tank trails, yeah.
The tank trails, yes.
Hold on. Something happened with my camera.
Ruh-roh.
Not sure exactly what happened. There we go.
And I'm back.
I'm back.
Okay. So we went for a run on the tank trails. And it wasn't just a little run. I want to say it was at least 4 miles. Oh, thank you. I can totally fit to that. 4 miles on the tank trail, and intervals in between of like push-ups and sit-ups and jumping jacks and all of that stuff. And I actually didn't fall out. So I was surprised. I actually still came back in the front. But it was kind of eye-opening for me what it was going to be like in the real Army. And especially which I can't say that for every NCO. Sergeant First Class Bennett, he loved to run. He loved to run. We actually got in trouble in Iraq because of his love of running, because we got a call one time and he wanted to go on a run that morning. Needless to say, on the days we were on call, we never went on a run again.
Well,
But
as a medic, it's kind of important to be able to run pretty well. The cardio is extremely important, because you
I have a lot of it.
and you also have to be able to lift and push and pull and carry and all that stuff too. So that is a very important aspect of being a medic.
I could probably still fireman carry somebody.
You reckon?
Probably could. I could probably do my husband. Definitely. We might have to try that.
All right. So the PT, grueling. Okay. I think I had it a little bit better than you. I mean, we had a lot of PT. I mean, we were constantly doing like the fun runs and the battalion runs and stuff like that. So you go from there to Iraq.
Yes.
And now, was Iraq your only deployment?
No, I have two.
You had two deployments. Okay, so tell me about your deployments and your first. I don't know how many casualties you ever dealt with firsthand, but tell me about your first, if you had any casualties that you dealt with, and what that experience was like for you.
So my first deployment was always say it was my most interesting, but the least of the battlefield casualties that I ever had to deal with, because most of the casualties that I had to deal with was the soldiers hurting themselves. For instance, one guy just literally walking, we had those grates over the pallets where you didn't get mud on your shoes, and he fell, and one of the grates went right through his chin. Little meaty chin part right there, and he was impaled on it. One guy went out on a assault mission, the one you're talking about doing all the somersaults. Went out on an air assault mission, came back, was perfectly fine, fell getting off the plane or the Black Hawk. And here he comes knocking on my door at 3 a.m, and I'm just like, what happened? Because I knew they were all out on this like super secret mission or whatever, and I was just like, what happened? And he was just like, I fell. I'm like, really? I was like, you fell over there? And he's like, no, we were already back. And I was just like, well, at least you waited to get hurt until you got back.
Yeah.
And an LT scraped up his ankle running into some of the sea wire. I mean, so I had it easy in Iraq, thankfully, because I didn't have to do too much. Minus that we did get blown up once, but we didn't have any real like casualties. So we just had like some concussions and repercussions from the blast injuries like afterwards, but everybody was okay. It was just
And for reference, she was EOD in Iraq. She was running with EOD in Iraq. So
I have to find all my videos. I have a lot of cool videos of things that they would blow up, and that was probably the most exciting part, was just watching everything blow up. I mean, we went to a house one time and they thought it was booby trapped, so they just decided to blow the whole thing.
sounds about right.
They just blew the whole thing.
Okay.
And other than that, they really wouldn't let me out of the truck. It was one of those, the medic stays in the truck until the medic is needed kind of thing. And the one time they did let me get out of the truck was when they were doing something super risky, or they would just allow me to get out and walk with them if it was already like a cleared area, and we were just like, I have a picture of myself down in one of the blast holes and stuff like that. But they wouldn't really let me out. Let me out. They would never let me. The one time they did the little risky operation, though, it was a super narrow road that they had to go down. So they had to get in the bomb suit, and the guy got on top of the Humvee, the engine. He got on top of the engine of the Humvee, on top of the Humvee, so he could go down because he couldn't fit in the Humvee. So they had to put him on top to go down to this unexploded ordnance to blow it up. And I had to sit there and watch and make sure it didn't go.
Yeah.
So we were just sitting there praying, and thankfully nothing happened, but we just sat there and prayed, and that was the one time they got me out of the truck on standby, and I was nervous then. I sure was. But I have to tell you about my first mission ever in Iraq was probably my most interesting one.
It's your platform right now.
So my first, of course, I'm like 22, still wet behind the ears. I feel, I was young, and I was sitting in the driver, right behind the driver's seat. We were doing left seat, right seat with the previous people we were taking over, and my friend Maria, she was in the truck too. So we are going out to this site where there was an I&D stretched across the road. They had wires stretched across the road. That's how they found it. And then they noticed that the two trigger guys were in a ditch nearby. So as we're pulling up or approaching the scene, all I see is hellfire coming out of the sky. Giant fireballs, just pew, 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 pew. And I was just like, what is that? And of course they explained it to me what it was, and it was coming down from an Apache, and I was just like, okay. Well, it's like we're definitely Definitely here. Okay, cool. So, and they took those guys out for sure, but it was they were lighting up the trigger guys
Yeah.
in the ditch, and it was just such a wild, interesting, scary moment for me that it's just ingrained in my brain forever.
What
So,
about what about Afghanistan?
Afghanistan, I was stuck in a clinic, but I did enjoy it. Only because I had a lot of soldiers. I was an NCO at that time, at that point, so I had a lot of soldiers to take care of, and that's one of the things that I enjoyed doing was taking care of my soldiers. And we also were we were at FOB Sharana. Sharana was like the first echelon of care for casualties on the battlefield.
Right.
So I was the one that set up the ceremonies for them as they flew in and made sure that everything went right as they were coming off of the Black Hawks and going into our setup morgue to be processed. So that was honestly tougher than Iraq, just because the mental part of it was tougher than Iraq was. Iraq was more fun to me than Afghanistan. Afghanistan was definitely more real.
Yeah, I feel the same way.
So,
What was that experience though, with dealing with the casualties coming in to the clinic? Your first CAS, whether it be a local national or a soldier, just kind of give an idea. And if you get uncomfortable with talking about anything, you're more than welcome
okay,
to.
if I just get emotional, so we'll work through it. It's
But
okay. I still have a lot of call it PTSD about it. You know, it's something I honestly think about just about every single day. And there's just some instances that really stick out to me because you're standing at attention and you're saluting them as they walk by, but when a hand falls out or like there's blood dripping down the sidewalk, it those are real. Those were the moments that like they've got them covered up, but those were the moments that really stuck in my brain. And two of the soldiers that came in one time, I don't even remember exactly what they were doing, but I think they were walking a field and just happened to actually accidentally kick a an ID, and both of them passed away. And the one guy that I processed his body. Funny story with my husband's ex-wife. But when I was processing his body, we have to take everything out of their pockets, and his heat and it was cold. It was cold in Afghanistan at that time, but his hot hands were still warm. So, and he had one on his chest because it was cold. And but then when I saw that, it was actually wound up being his girlfriend's beret. But when I saw the tiny beret that he had in his pocket, I lost it then because I thought it was his kid. Either way, it was still sad. But Robinson, that was his name. They'll always be with me. And I still talk to his girlfriend today. So, his fiance at the time.
what, if anything, did the military do to kind of help assess you with your mental health and through this, or even after, to prepare you, to go back into civilian life? And what have they done to, kind of help you on the mental end of things, to overcome these emotions, these raw emotions that will stick with us forever?
Well, I'm putting myself back in therapy. Um, all my doctors always recommend it every time I start talking to them about it. So I am starting therapy again. I went through a few rough years there afterwards, but it was a lot to deal with the person I was also dealing with at that point in time too, because he was perpetuating a lot of those emotions, and he was poking the bear, So a lot of those emotions were very strong after those few. Let's see, I got out in 14 up until 2020. Yeah, 2021. 2014 to 2021. Those were the rough years. But I put myself through college. I kept a part-time job. I still had my kids. I took care of my children. Had another child on top of going to college. And my mom, she said something funny. She says, every time I go to school, I get pregnant, so I can't go to school anymore. So, and I still finished. I finished with my 2 bachelor degrees, and it was right as soon as I finished that last final, I feel like I got hit with a brick wall. That was the downfall for me. I was exhausted. I was mentally exhausted, physically exhausted. I just put myself through way too much, and I had a breakdown. And I've had a few of them, but one time, I'll talk about it. I called the Veterans Suicide Hotline. It was a great service, and I will always recommend them to anybody that needs them. They are even there just to talk to you, and I've called them just to have somebody to talk to that can understand what I'm going through. And but the one time that I did need them, they sent an ambulance and came and got me, and literally just like plucked me out of that situation I was in, and I went and got a break for a few days. But it was a nice little reset for me, and I thank Veterans Hotline, Suicide Hotline, for everything that they've done for me. I would do it 100 times over again if I ever found myself in that place again.
So, thank you for sharing that. I'm sorry that I'm having to deal with the microphone so much, but it's a very directional microphone, so I have to be able to move it back. I only have the one. So it's a really hard place to be in, and I'm personally extremely relieved that you took that step to be able to do that for yourself. You know, a lot of people are too scared to, or they think that it's, somehow utilizing resources that could be used for somebody else or whatever the situation is. But, our medic from Iraq, McFarland, she ended up taking her life when she got home. She had beautiful children, and she was an amazing person. She was just one of the richest people in personality and love to be able to share that you had ever met. And never once did she lead on that she needed the help. And it's...
I think we all have a friend like that.
Yeah. Some of us have quite a few.
Marianne Brown, isn't it? She's actually the reason why I do my ceramics, and I do everything in her honor.
And that's something that I wanted to get into next is, what you do now to kind of clear your mind. And whenever things are getting really stressful, whenever things are getting to the point where you just, you can't focus on anything else, so you have to change the subject. You have to, put your mind at ease somehow. What is it that you do to do that now?
I play with mud. As I say, I make mud pies as an adult for a living, but I'm a ceramicist, or as some people know it, as a potter. They're kind of the same thing, ceramic artist. I was doing an art minor along with my 2 bachelor degrees in business, and found ceramics that way, and fell in love with it.
Honey, can you give me a couple of examples out of the cabinets for me?
Do you have a Band-Aid?
Yes.
Hold, a hangnail on my toe and it's bleeding.
No,
no.
don't do that.
I can blood everywhere, so I'm kind of just holding it right here.
Do you want me to get one real
Yeah,
quick?
if you don't mind. Yeah, and while you're up, if you want to grab a couple of examples of some of your work, that'd be great. So, yeah, she is a potter. I like to call it a potter because ceramicist sounds a little too metal for my taste. But no, she's done some amazing work actually, and she sent. I've bought a couple of things from her at this point in time. Actually, Jinx and I got to sit down in her studio and make a couple of small little trinkets, which we'll be able to get later on. We're not going to be able to get it right now because of the fact that everything is so chaotic. And we weren't able to, finish everything on our own. So Jackie's going to be sending all of this stuff to us through the mail, which is we are really grateful for. I think this is going to be awesome to be able to receive those things because we made pumpkins. And if you know Jinx, then you know how much she adores pumpkins. So she currently, at this point in time, is going to be walking home with, I want to say, approximately 50 pumpkins or so. All of which made of ceramic or pottery of some type. And so, yeah, she's pretty happy. But that's mostly because of this one's giving and loving and nurturing soul. These are all some of her works, and her.
I don't know which one to bring, so I brought a bunch.
She brought a lot more than I thought she was going to bring. I'll say
I did
that.
so many different pieces. So, this is some 3D stuff I did. This is I.
There's the dogs. There's going to be dogs in every podcast that we do. I just wanted to point that out.
Sorry, I wonder if Brad's back. Can you check and see if he's back? Brad might
He
be
most
back.
likely is.
So this is when I first started playing with porcelain and I started doing 3D stuff. This is the one that I kept for myself.
Mm-hmm.
This was also when I started doing porcelain and I started playing with gold decals. And this one's been one of my favorites. So not funny story. I always say that, gosh. The ginkgo tree, the ginkgo leaf is what got my pottery business off the ground. And because of the meaning behind it. So I love the ginkgo. My husband stole this one when he saw it.
Yeah, I would have too.
That's what he was like, that one's mine. And this was the first time he's ever done that with like one of my pieces. It made me really proud. Because he's never been like, I have to have that one. So that he saw that when he had to have it. These are prints that I love to do. These are just succulents. It's, again, one of my favorites. I love plants too. My branded one I did.
I like that one a lot too. It looks almost like an overflowing honey pot.
Yes. Oh, the drip. Yes. I love the drippy. I got to get more of this clay. I actually really like this clay. And then these I did for my wedding. So everybody in my wedding got a mug.
Nice.
That was my wedding favors to everybody. And this is one I kept myself. So nice pink stoneware.
And by the way, she's drinking out of one of them too, I think.
No, this one's a different one.
Oh, okay.
Because it has the little silicone strip and I wanted something cold.
Got you.
But
So
it is handmade.
I will put a link to all of her social media and the accounts. What is it with dogs and drinking water and the worst timing? I will put a link to all of her social media into the description as soon as I'm done with the live tonight. But just as a quick reference, her handle is the Crazy Potter Lady, and I believe it wasn't that one. It was this one here. This is the logo that you will see on all of her social media here. It's on the bottom of all of her newer stuff as well. And so go and check her out and show her some love and support. Honestly, I feel like the least we can do for our veterans who own small businesses with as much as they have given for us is to return the favor and do something for them by supporting their small businesses. So please go over to the Crazy Potter Lady over on TikTok, Instagram. Do you have Twitter? Mm-hmm. She has Facebook. But go and check her out on any of those and show her some love. Buy 100 mugs for your entire family.
I don't have 100 mugs on my website.
Buy 130 then, so that she has nothing but work for the next 2 months. Okay. So what got you into doing the ceramics and the pottery and like the clays and stuff like that? What made you decide to go with that? I actually like the story. And how did it evolve into you being like an actual ceramicist?
Okay. So, well, I've told you I took pottery classes when I was in college, and for an art minor, and I was actually doing 2 bachelor degrees for business management and marketing. So like my degrees were complete opposite, but I've always had an artistic brain. I always knew I was very artistic, but I just didn't know like what kind of medium I wanted to work with. I've done a lot of dabbling in here, there, and everywhere. And I actually started out in college taking a drawing class just to further my skills and to see where I kind of wanted to go. So after I took the drawing class, I took intro to ceramics. And as soon as I did it, I just knew it. As soon as I was able to actually make something on the wheel, that was going to be my thing. So when a lot of artists, they have different mine, it's calming. It's it takes my brain from like 100 to like nothing, you know. So it really helps me to zone in and to focus and to tone down the anxiety from from everything. So I forgot what the other question was.
How did that evolve into your business?
Oh, so yeah. So when I got out of college, I went through a depression. I mean, I'm not ashamed to say it. I went through depression for quite a few years, and then COVID hit. And by the time COVID hit, I'd already had my equipment. I'd already had a wheel, I'd a kiln, and I had a good supply person that was like an hour from me, so I was able to go get clay fairly easily. But I just started doing it, and I started doing the ginkgo mugs and my 3D sunflower mugs. Those were the two that really started popping off online. And not to throw numbers out there, but I was making 40,000 a year
That's crazy.
doing just those mugs. So that's just why I stuck with mugs for a while, and till I started getting a little tired of doing just mugs all the time, and I started dipping my toes into everything else, and got back into the shows. I like shows and I hate shows because I have high anxiety and I have to talk to people all day. But and just growing, I started growing my social media. Went back, oh gosh, 8 years ago. So, and it was my Instagram that really helped me to, I guess, make my platform. So, and I've enjoyed it at TikTok, but TikTok is just luck of the draw on TikTok. So, I'm never going to do Twitter.
If there's somebody that is out there right now that's thinking about starting a business doing pottery, or just throwing clay at, in any caliber, what advice would you give that individual?
Run. No, kidding. I actually encourage it. I encourage it a lot because it is something that you do for yourself. And I enjoy it because it's my solidarity, it's my time, it's my space away from everybody. But it's really easy to get it started. Let me just kind of tell you how I started it. I started on Etsy. So I wanted to use a platform that was fairly easy, like user-friendly to use, and I could learn the steps of posting and taking pictures and making the post and all this kinds of stuff, and or marketing myself, using keywords, all that kinds of stuff. Analyzing the analytics and going with, stuff like that. But Etsy was a good platform to learn on. But I always tell everybody, once you're done learning, you need to move to your own website. Definitely get your own website. I use Squarespace. Squarespace has been great for me. It's a very user-friendly interface. I'm able to get on there and change my website up if I need to. I don't have to call somebody to do it for me. I can do everything myself. If they would just stop changing things. But I always get used to it, but they'll always do that to me when I have like a big upload to do. It's always like, oh, we're going to change the whole website. And now you have to learn how to use this one again. So, but I mean, if technology is ever changing and we have to change with it. So, but social media and getting your own website is the main two things that I harp on, because as I was telling this lady the other day, you have to build your base. To get your house, you have to build your base. So you start building your base on your platforms and getting your customers. I have customers that will buy from me every single time I make an update. I have one customer that she bought every vase I made one time. large vase. She just bought every one of them.
Speaking of vases.
So, I mean, it's just I have great customers, and they have been super loyal and super great. And anytime that I'm having a rough time where I feel like I'm not being creative or anything like that, I can just post something, and they are always uplifting. So build your fan base, get your website going. Keep everything in one spot too. Don't jump around. A lot of people want to say, "Hey, do you take Venmo? Do you do PayPal? Blah 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 blah." When it comes to tax season, stay to one place. Stick to one platform, because my taxes are super easy at the end of the year. And that's, I think, what scares a lot of people is the whole tax part of it. And if you're doing just a hobby that you make money at, it's really easy. And you get a 1099 at the end of the year, you file your 1099, you keep all your deductions, you file your deductions. And it's super simple, So I file my taxes every year, and I don't know what else to really kind of add
That's
to
fine,
that.
that's
Sorry,
fine.
I just kind of stopped mid.
No, you're good.
mid-point
That's
there.
good.
I told you I was awkward.
So, yeah, she's also trying to make a business not just out of her pottery and stuff like that. She's also trying to make a business of her Instagram account and her TikTok. So the more people that follow and share those things, those videos, the more revenue she can actually pull in from those things as well.
I got paid $5 from Facebook.
So do her that favor as well. Just something as simple as going and sharing her videos is a huge help. So it like I said before, any little thing that we can do to try to help support veterans, we should try to. And the same thing goes with first responders as well, because they're doing a lot for our community. The least we can do is go and support them when they have something going for themselves. Something I like to ask people is, with the knowledge and experiences that you've had throughout your life, you've seen and done so many things, and you've been able to react to stress and your emotions throughout the time, throughout your whole life in different ways, and you found what works best for you over those times. With that said, what would you recommend to someone who may have gone through similar things that you have in your lifetime, either as a combat medic, whether it was being on the road, or if it was
Shelly, could you get the door, please?
or if it was you being working in the actual office or the hospital, or a veteran coming and transitioning into civilian life again. What would you suggest to them for pulling themselves out of out of a mental rut? What advice would you give to somebody like that?
Talk to somebody. That's the best thing that you can do for yourself, is to let somebody know what you're going through. It's scary. You don't know how they're going to react. I definitely wouldn't go to somebody that you would think would react poorly, because that's not going to do anything for your mental health. That's just going to bring you down more, because it'll make you feel a lot less than, like they don't care. So definitely pick the right person to go to, and talk to that person. And if you need to seek help, definitely seek help, because that was the best thing that I could have ever done for myself, was to seek that little bit of extra help that I needed during that time. And even now, I'm going through a stressful situation now with moving and dealing with my ex, and just all the stressors of moving and buying a house and everything. And I noticed I had one panic attack, but that day that I had that anxiety attack, I was like, I need additional assistance with this. So you just pick up the phone. You can call your local mental health, the VA mental health. They always have, or behavioral health, they always have walk-in appointments. Always, always, always. And then if they don't have, if you can't get through to anything like that, you can always call the Veteran Suicide Hotline. Like I said, they're not only there to help you with things like sending you an ambulance if you need one, but they can be there just to talk and just to lend an ear. And I could say I've used it just like that at least 2 to 3 times, that I've just called them and say, I just need you to help me calm down, and just get me to that point where I can think more logically than what I was at that moment. Yeah. So, that's the best advice I could give, is just talk. Don't keep it in.
Well, that's a fairly typical advice that most people give, and I think that's also the one thing that most people are afraid to do. Because talking means that now all of a sudden you're pushing your burdens off on someone else.
It can feel that way, or it's somebody else making them feel that way. And that's where I feel like people should discern the difference. Because if there's somebody that's sitting there making you feel less than and making you feel worse,
Right.
you need to get away from that person. You need to go find somebody else that is going to sit and listen to you and have some empathy and some sympathy, and to be able to talk you through situations, even if it's just being there to listen.
Right.
Even if just let me word vomit and you just take it in. You know, and that's what I do. Sometimes I call my friends, I'm like, I just need to word vomit for a minute. And she's like, okay, go ahead. So, it's just anything with life. Just talk about it. I can't stress it enough.
I can't either.
Yeah.
It's so important. And this is something that I harp on like every time that I go live, is life is going to happen whether we want it to or not. And the situations that come with that are going to be ridiculously stressful from time to time. It's going to overpower you sometimes. It's going to knock you flat on your butt sometimes. But what you do in that time frame is really going to make a difference on whether you explode or whether you make it through. And everybody around you wants you to make it through. Nobody wants to see you fail. Some people might act like it, but nobody actually wants you to hurt. So that's why it's something that I am so adamant on harping on, because you have people who love you. You have people who care for you. I know you know that. I know that you know that.
I do know.
I love you. He loves you. Your kids love you. Even if they're not around, because I know that there's a lot of individuals who don't even get to see their kids. Well, that kid is still depending on you, man. You have to put that grievance aside to really take care of yourself. And I know that it's a really, really big ask, but so many more people depend on you than you realize. And if you're holding it in, eventually it's going to overflow. And when it does overflow, it's going to overflow on everyone around you. There's no question about it. Everyone around you is going to affect them also. And the worst case scenario, if you decide that, you want to do something to harm yourself, now everybody around you is going to suffer from that as well. But they're going to suffer a lot more than you, because of the fact that now you're gone and they have you. They don't have you anymore. They're still having to go through all this. So just, really, really consider, if you're going through hard times, talking to someone, because everybody that comes on this podcast, you're not the only one. Everybody that comes on this podcast, that's the number one thing they say. Call somebody. And there's so many phone numbers that you can call. There are so many different programs that are out there for all of us, whether you're a veteran, first responder, or civilian. It does not matter. There are programs for every last one of us. Sometimes the VA is not the greatest. I'm a living example of that. But they do have programs that do help. So take the time to help yourself. All right. With that said, do you have any final thoughts that, if there was anything that I didn't cover that you think we should cover, or just any closing thoughts for the podcast, for our viewers, and anything at all that you want to talk about?
Sorry, I was awkward. This is my first time, so go easy on me.
I don't think anybody's going to be too awfully upset with you. By her pottery. I guess that's the number one thing that she wants from right now. Well, thank you.
You don't have to buy anything, but following and supporting and liking videos is great for me too, because I've been doing and trying really hard to up my social media game lately, and my views have been showing it. Thankfully, I've been more consistent, except today. I haven't posted anything today, but I'm trying. I'm getting out there, putting myself out there more. One of my good customers just told me the other day that I should put a list of like my next shows and stuff on my
I think that's a good idea.
website and stuff, and it's a great idea. And I have to get past the anxiety of it all. So I've had to get past the anxiety of even being on a podcast. So, but I'm getting there.
Well, fortunately for you, you have friends like me who have these kind of platforms.
See, and then you can help me with this kind of stuff. So,
Well, thank you so much for coming on and putting that anxiety to the side just long enough to be able to, talk about some of the things that you've been through in your life. That's a very brave thing to do. It's not easy to talk about some of the things that, my guests talk about on this show. But I feel like talking is such a necessity that I think it's something that should happen.
I have a funny story.
But I mean, by all means.
So we were in Afghanistan at Fob Sharana, and we had a surgical team attached to us. And I heard some people were coming in, and I kind of wanted to see. I heard it was a fight, and it was two local nationals that got injured, and they came in, and they were both, I think they were both stabbed. And I was just like, what in the world happened? They were fighting over a goat. They stabbed each other over a goat. They were cousins. Yeah, that was a funny story.
So did you treat them?
No, I didn't. I was just curious to see what was going on over there one day. You get bored, you walk around.
Yeah, well, that's a good high point to end the podcast.
What's over at the surgical center today? And I'm just like, oh, what's going on with these guys? And they're like, well, story has it they were fighting over a goat. I was like, really? Interesting.
That's fantastic. Hey, Brad, it's good to see you. It's better late than never, honestly. So again, thank you so much for putting your anxiety to the side just long enough to come on here. The hour goes fast. It really does.
It did go by fast. And I didn't tear this thing to shreds, so
it works. Yeah. So, but for you guys at home, I really want to thank you for coming and joining us tonight. And if you're watching this post live, please do me a favor, go down into the description of this video and show some support for Jackie's Buy Local, Support Local, but more importantly, support your local, your veterans. Okay. I have a couple more great guests coming up very, very soon. I'm actually booked until February. I met a new guy today that he is actually he flies on C-130s for a living in the military. He's E7 Master Sergeant in the Air Force. And I met him today at the Mayo Center. And his wife is currently suffering from cancer, and this is a brand new development for him. And but he's already wanting to, get on and talk. And see, that's what I'm saying. Like, he's already wanting to get on and talk, and share the importance of communicating. And I can't stress that enough. So with that being said, thank you once again for joining us tonight. I'm sorry that it's not our standard area, but, being on the road and doing a podcast is not exactly easy, but I somehow seem to figure it out. Yeah. But with that being said, I love you, and I will see you on the next Lighthouse podcast next Friday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on YouTube. Love you guys, and I will see you soon. Say bye.
Bye. Oh.
Go to intro. It's not doing it. It's being... That was awkward. Okay. Again, bye. Yeah, no problem.
Thanks for having